What's going on, everybody? How you doing? In today's video, we are starting the giveaway, the Getty Lee giveaway. Wow, I have 2 of these to give away, thanks to Dave. These Getty Lee #1 basses. What are we doing the series on? This is a Getty Lee interview. This is from, I believe it's 2015. Getty Lee interviewed at some show called Speakeasy. It's with Michael Chabon at the McKittrick Hotel in New York City. Pretty sure this is from 2015, before they went out on R40. So that's what this interview is. It's 5 parts, so there's going to be 5 videos. So 5, actually 10 times, because I say it at the end of each video also. So where I'm going to remind you that right now, if you want one of these really cool replicas of Getty Lee's bass, if you want to submit for it, here's what you have to do. Live in the US or Canada. Email me at jpanreadsemail@gmail.com. In the subject, write boss man, because Getty Lee. And then in the body, write your name and your email address. And that's it. Send it to me right now. When the series is over the next day in the morning, I'm going to put out a video saying who won, right? So that's what we're doing today, is the first video of this 5-part interview with Getty Lee. And it should be cool. I think that they talk about a bunch of different things. I don't really know. I didn't watch it. All I did was kind of like chop it up, find appropriate places to chop it up. And hopefully I did a good job with that. And it's not too weird or awkward. I don't think so. I think it's all right. But anyways, that's what we're doing. If you're new here, please subscribe. Check out my videos, all kinds of videos. Wow, we got giveaways. And also, this is literally the last Rush thing that I'm doing for like a while, probably. I may throw things in here and there, but there's not any more daily Rush stuff. That's over. This is not a Rush channel. This is a music channel. I know you Rush people like music, so hopefully you stick around. And, that's what it is. Anyways, make sure you submit for this. Okay? Let's get to part 1. Let's check this out. This interview. All right, let's do it. Bam.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Mr. Getty Lee.
Side hug. Weird side hug. So wait a minute, was R40 out? No, it wasn't out
All I
yet.
can say is it's a good thing that we've met before, because if we hadn't, right now there'd be this very awkward Wayne's World kind of Wayne and Garth kind of
Likewise.
not worthy thing happening. So it's all right though. I've managed to adjust slightly.
That guy's
to this
glasses are
whole
thick.
proposition. I'm so excited. I haven't seen you in a very long time, so it's nice to just be.
When you brought your son to see us, what year was that?
Yeah, that was it was his bar mitzvah present. My older son's bar mitzvah present was that he got to come watch Rush rehearse for their tour, that year's tour. So that was 4 years ago. Yeah. We were in this room. It was a big room. It was not a space as big as the one that you guys are normally accustomed. I think you normally would get like a whole arena, but the arena was being used for some other purpose. So you were on a sound stage at Sony or one of the movie
like
studios.
Half an arena.
Yeah, and there's Rush. There they are. They got their whole. They're still getting all the stage stuff ready, but the band's there, and we're sitting on a couch. As my son and Emmy, we're about as far from the band as maybe 10, 20 feet from the band, just sitting there with these huge stacks, and it was very loud. And it was unbelievable. And especially, it was very gratifying for me personally because, well, I'm 51 now, so I was 47 at the time. And, I mean, you guys just completely tear it up live. And it was I'm always looking for role models of, guys getting to be around my age who still find ways to tear it up. But it was, and to be sitting there with my son, get it and see, look, these guys are still just very, very devastating.
Well, that's very kind of you to say.
So, actually, that might even be a place to start. One thing I was thinking about with you guys, with you and with the band, is that you have managed to, well, first of all, as an entity, the three of you, I know initially there was a different man sitting behind the drum kit, but with Neil at the drums, it's been 40 years?
Yeah, 40 plus years.
40 plus years now? Is there another musical unit that has a comparable record of longevity without changing any members whatsoever? Like 40 years with no personnel changes whatsoever?
I don't know. It's a good question.
I mean, that has to be some kind of record.
A lot of bands. ZZ
Top. No band members have changed.
ZZ Top.
I don't know.
ZZ Top.
Where
are they? Get them in here.
Oh boy.
Let's find out.
See, boss man.
Okay.
Like.
Well, in their case, clearly the answer to
Damn.
the question I'm about to ask you is facial hair.
Damn.
But what do you think? Why? What's the secret? How come you guys have managed to stay together for so long with no disruptions, no changes?
It's a good question. It's an interesting question, and
you dyed his hair recently.
Certainly one that gets asked often, and it's
freshly
hard to answer
dyed
because you kind of have to look at it from the inside and look at it from the outside. From the outside, I see three sort of well-adjusted, middle-class, suburban kids, and being Canadian, we tend to be polite. And there's something about the way we were brought up that made us all quite fair-minded as individuals. And so in our collective, we're also fair-minded. So, and it's always been like that. It's not something that we had to learn. It's not something that we had to tell each other, be kind to each other. So I think it's kind of came out of the households that we were raised in initially. And for some reason, we all tend to have long-term relationships in our lives. A lot of our friends are still our friends, and, long marriages, etc. So there's something in our nature that would rather fight than quit. And I think that sense of fairness, and we have this ability to make each other laugh, which I know other people have talked about, we've talked about it, but it's not a small thing, it's like a really big thing, because if the situation is tense, and sometimes on the road, you're not the most balanced person, after a 6-month tour. If you can walk into a room and there's tension, there's frustration, there's grumpiness, and you still are able to make each other laugh, a lot of that dissipates, and that's really huge.
Well, it's true of a marriage too, right? You've been married for a very long time too, and it's the same humor, and I think it's respect too, mutual respect. As long as there's not contempt in the relationship, founded on respect and their sense of humor.
No, absolutely. Like any relationship, you need to have things to talk about that are interesting, and you have to have a respect for the other person's intellect for that to happen. So I want to hear their ideas, and they want to hear my ideas. And humor, as I said before, it's a huge, not only does it bond you, it lightens the load of the day, it lightens the moment. And of course, we've always had this incredibly equal vision of the kind of music we want to make. So we were impressed and schooled by the same bands when we were young. We all listened to the Cream, we all listened to the Who, Led Zeppelin, all those prog rock bands that are not yet in the Hall of Fame for some reason.
It's an outrage.
It's an outrage.
Yeah.
So Deep Purple, yes, Genesis. These are the people that taught us to love music, and so we shared those things, and that's not a small thing either. So I guess there's no one answer.
No, I mean it must partly just be luck in a way that you had all of those different factors able to come into play to make it happen.
Oh yeah,
it's probably why it's so exceptional.
Yeah, I agree with that. Luck is the silent partner.
And now, well, I mean, anybody that's around my age remembers growing up in the 60s or 70s probably remembers that the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists used to have that clock in the during the Cold War, where it would be how many minutes to midnight in the judgment of to a nuclear holocaust. Alan Moore and Watchmen played with that that clock. Was the clock on Rush ever close to midnight? I mean, have there been moments where it seemed like it was coming to an end?
Oh yeah, there have. The most obvious one is in what I call our very dark period, when some very, very tragic things happened to Neil's life. And at that point in time, it just seemed inappropriate to even discuss music or work. And it just fell away. And in my heart, I didn't really believe it was fixable,
Wow.
because the loss was so profound and the pain was so close to the surface. I just didn't see how that could come back together. But fortunately, the human spirit is incredibly resilient, and he found his way back to opening a dialogue to work. And I think he learned that, came to the realization that work would be good for him, help him get back to being the person he wants to be again.
And had you started to think past Rush at that point, or have you ever thought? I mean, now it seems unthinkable. But I mean, did you?
It's the strangest thing, Michael, because my whole life, feels like my whole life has been with these two guys, and it is hard to see myself outside that. But I know my life does exist outside that. It has to. We've come close, but I think when we were going through that moment, I found solace in writing. I did my own solo album at that time, and that kept me sane, because it was understandable why Neil couldn't work, but I needed to work.
Right.
And work is a tonic for many things. And it was a great experience for me, that record, and I learned a lot. And I was so happy to go back to working with the band.
Yeah.
It's just much more fun with two partners that make you laugh.
Yeah.
So a good experience. I learned a hell of a lot about songwriting. I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about what I had learned from the band and from my two partners. And after a while, I missed working with them. So when Neil was ready to go back to work, it was a pretty happy day.
Cool. Yeah. All right, we're getting into it. Okay, so this guy, Michael Chabon, I don't know this guy or this show, but okay, that's cool. This guy, he's an American novelist, screenwriter, columnist, and short story writer. And it looks like he's got a ton of accolades. He's a writer. Looks like he's even written a few songs, helped, co-write a few songs in some way. He's got a ton of awards. Some writer guy. Anyways, yeah, I didn't know that. Obviously, they know each other in some kind of way. So, okay. I mean, I feel like they're just getting into it. They're just hitting the surface so far. What are they talking about? They're talking about reminiscing on their own. Yeah, you were at the rehearsal, that kind of thing. Growing up Canadian, a bit of that during their time period. Oh yeah, I don't think Geddy liked that whole ZZ Top outburst. I think he liked that. He's like, no, we're the only ZZ. I don't think he liked that at all. Yeah, it feels like a little slow start. They're, just kind of getting into it, talking about, is there ever a point where there was going to be an end, which we all know that, there was a few points, this one being the worst of them, for sure, that they're talking about right now. Yeah. So, anyways, it's cool. This is the start of it. But you're also here for this. So make sure that if you want one of two of these, thanks Dave, that you submit. Live in the US or Canada. Email me, jpanreadsemail@gmail.com. Subject line, bossman. Name and email address in the body. And send it off right now. Cool. All right. We'll be on to part 2. Catch you then.